I'm 19 Keys, and this is High Level Conversation.
So a lot of times when black men in the hood, our realities or in the streets or even in the corporates, most of the time black men never speak about it because that lack of safety is just lack of space. Like there's no space to have a conversation anywhere, at least where it matters or it makes a change. So it becomes complaining when I speak about my problems and there's nothing to be done from it. Right. So you're going to tell me to vote, but what I'm really voting for is everybody else's agenda because mine is not even in the pot of problems.
Right.
So it feels like.
And for you to be more powerful.
Right.
For you to continue your dynasty that you have. Yeah.
100%. So it feels like, what am I doing it for? I know it's going to make you feel more comfortable and you feel more safe. And it's like, you're telling me that it's now my responsibility to be in alignment with you. But there's no conversation about my alignment at all. I speak about the diversity factor that we talk about a lot, right? The diversity factor, the fact that when we talk about diversity in America, we speak about it in a way where we categorize what diversity is diversity. As a black male Muslim, I'm diversity. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's not put into the category. A Hebrew, an Israelite, or you know, a Moorish, that's diversity. But you don't see that in movie, right? You don't see that in politics. You don't see no representation of it whatsoever in America. But we've been in America more than longer and have contributed more than any other, you know, group of people in America. Yet it hasn't been spoken to or cared about. And anytime that we've done things, we are the messiahs that are the sacrifices for the rest of the world to build their platforms on. Right? But then people act like Martin Luther King was a black man, right? He first woke up as a black man and seen the world from that perspective, right? So you don't get to build your entire platform while ignoring the black man himself. Malcolm X, a black man. All of these leaders, these were black men. Of course, they had women with them.
Yeah, women definitely contributed.
100%, because you can't be a great black man in America without a great black woman.
Right.
And I say great black woman because the contribution of the woman that is with you, she's also picked by God. If you're picked by God to go alongside with you, you just have a face front more position in the mission that you all have. But the partner with you along that journey is just as important as the person that's in front of it. But I only say all that to say that, yeah, black men never feel like our voice is truly heard. And so when we do come from positions of, I know it's unsafe out there, it's just courage. I gotta face reality. Reality is not gonna change because I fear it. So it'll be better quality of life if I go with the flow of knowing what's happening out there and still making my moves. I think Thomas Sowell, which is somebody I don't particularly agree with on everything,
but I've read him.
He makes great cases.
Yeah, I read him.
He makes the great case about, you know, how does anybody advance in America? And he says by gaining the skills that people want to pay for. And he really attacks culture a lot, right? Which culture cannot be taken out of because now we have an anti-culture, anti-family, right? Anti, you know, mental health and mindfulness, right? Is really anti-economic growth because they talk about frivolous spending on things that aren't good for you. It's anti-education. So even when I talk about education, I'm not against education. I talk about the experience in the college institution and the debt that comes along with it versus the education that develops the skill set or the mindset that allows you to progress in society. That's completely different, but people don't like having two conversations at once. They think things have to be black and white. I'm brown, so I don't never have that conversation.
So there's no such thing as a successful person in America who isn't educated.
That's
so everybody, 100%. Now, if you inherited it, then you whatever. But 100%.
Well, then you got it, because the biggest wealth transfer is through
inheritance.
So
right?
we definitely do have to add that in because that does speak to systematic things.
So right. So, but what I'm saying is, a person that's become successful, they are educated in something.
Yes.
When you guys say that these people out here, that the Kardashians, you say they don't have no talent. They might not have talent, but they certainly have a trade that they ply. I can tell you right now that those people know more about branding, marketing, analytics, all of those things, all of that stuff. They know what they're doing. When people say big, dumb athletes, you know what I loved about Kobe Bryant? And, you know, me and you actually took a walk Like back when Kobe passed, I'm
Mhm.
walking down the street, I see you. We walked over to the thing when the old people were doing the whole thing. It was watching everybody mourn Kobe. I used to like to watch Detail, the Kobe Bryant show where he would break down basketball.
Mm.
Because when I was at TMZ, I would go back and forth with people. And the intelligence of the black athlete would always be marginalized. So I remember having a conversation with one guy, particularly at TMZ, that I was telling him what a genius Floyd Mayweather Jr. is. If you know the basics of boxing, you know that for all of Floyd's prodigious physical skills, the one thing that far outpaces him from everyone else is his knowledge and composure inside of the ring. Like he's just the smartest tactician that's been in there in a long time. And so those guys are not just educated, they're highly educated.
Yeah.
When I would watch Detail, you would watch Kobe set up a play 3 plays down, set up a move. They are geniuses at what they do, especially the best of them, right? So your education is going to come. The question is, how traditional does your education have to be? Does your traditional education benefit you in America the same way it did? And these are all questions you have to ask.
Right.
For all the reasons that you would, to me, the most important part of being educated on anything is the plan that you have for your education. What are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cause you could tell me right now, hey, I'm gonna spend the next, my little nephew out there at my Uncle Pass. I go out there. He's telling me he wants to do something. I said, hey, just come to LA. Just come to LA. You're 18. Just come to LA. Come to LA. I'll forget about everything else. You don't need to do all of this.
Right.
Unc can help you skip steps. Come to LA. I'll put you on.
Mm-hmm.
I will put you on right now. I will put you at the Spotify building. You will work there. By the time you are the age that I was when I moved out here, you'll be up.
Right.
It's over.
Right.
Like just go ahead and do it. So what I'm saying is even the conversations about education, really what I feel like what we're having conversations about is another thing, is intentionality with black men. Going back to what you were saying and how black men are looked at in society. There's a thing there. And the thing there is the thing that they don't really want us to talk about. The thing is what power actually is. Power is the ability to impart consequences or pain on someone who crosses you. That's the way I look at it. If me and you playing basketball, you throw the ball in my face, right? It's time to go. If I stall you out, right? And I just give you a pass or whatever, not saying that will happen, but if I give you a pass, then I'm protecting you, right? That's protection, right? If you can hurt me and I know that you can hurt me, or if I can hurt you and I know that you can hurt me, now my power matters. It doesn't matter if you can kill me. I'm talking about anything. My dad would tell me we get in a fight, just make him remember you. Put a bruise on his face, rip his shirt, just make sure he knows you're not the one to f with. That means that then makes you safe. Power makes you safe. The ability to impart your power, the ability to impart your voting block on somebody makes you safe. That makes them have to do something for you. The ability for you to tear shit up when it's time, that makes you safe. That might make them stop, right? All of that stuff, that makes you safe. They do not want safe black men in this country. They don't. Because in order for black men in this country to be safe, they would have to be powerful. They would have to be powerful. The only way to have them safe is to be powerful. And the only way to be safe is to have longevity, to mean these diseases cannot kill you. It's to have financial freedom, which means you don't have to borrow from people outside of your community that don't look like you. It's to have strong families, meaning those families can operate. And so for you to be safe, for them to do all of that, they're afraid, they don't want the power of black men to be accessed. And that's the thing. And we could spend 10 hours, 10 years, 15,000 years talking about why that is, but it's facts.
Yeah. And when the movement to me goes from black power, to the biggest civil rights movement of our era was Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Right. But it doesn't speak to the consequence. Black power, as you just spoke about, speaks to the consequence, because power comes with things. Mattering doesn't come with anything, right? Because that's a statement that's already true, right? It's already a reality. Whether the system acquiesces to that reality or not or people realize it or want to go against that fact, that's different. But Black power speaks toward Black family, prosperity, education, right? Growth. It speaks to an ability to control our own freedom, justice, equality. It speaks towards liberty. Kwame Ture,
yeah.
who said that we want liberty, not peace, right? And I found that to be very profound because he was like, you know, I don't need there to be peace in the sense that I want everybody to get along. I want the ability to be free.
I don't
And
care.
we can't have peace until we free.
Bruh, I honestly don't care if you hate me or not.
I don't either.
Like, you know what I mean?
Now, I don't want you to ever be in a power position against me to utilize your bias against me.
I know. I don't. At this point, what I want is.
But that's the distraction, though.
Right. What this point, this is very simple. I just want to not have to need you.
Yeah.
And that's another thing is.
But that's what separation is.
Another thing is Black men have been specifically valuable workhorses in the history of America.
Yeah.
Workhorses, not just from a standpoint of slavery, but scapegoats for violence, right? In terms of, hey, we got to firebomb this whole town. Why? Because a Black man did something. So they've been particularly useful in the American narrative of power and control.
That's a fact.
And so you make up a lie or an idea about someone, and the most important thing to do is to maintain that idea so that the status quo is maintained, right? And even Dr. King and Brother Malcolm and Medgar and Fred and the rest of these guys that they killed them because of what they were getting done, but they more so killed them because of what they represented.
100%. And think about those Black men. Not one time in history have you ever seen them lay a hand on another person. You know what I mean? The manhood and what they represented was intellectual, right? And their capability mentally, right? The Latin word for mind is mens, right? When you talk about a person being a man, right? Men, they mind, right? So it's a non-gender thing when you talk about men, right? Or one man or man. It's about your mind. And I believe that because we have attributed masculinity with all of these exterior things, right? People have gotten the focus of the intellectual one is the most powerful one. The man who has the stoicism, right? The man who is has that Messiah-minded, way about himself that is charismatic, that can deliver the message, that can lead them. That's the powerful one, right? And there were times in history where we did exalt that. And we have lost that throughout time. Because, and when we talk about culture, when we look at hip hop is getting to a place, I feel like, where it had went devoid a lot of intellect at all. But now you see the rappers having conversations. Now they talk about the money they making. Now they talk about the moves they making. Now they want to be seen as intelligent, right, in some of their conversations, right? But that wasn't always the case. Being ignorant, right, and being a nigga and not saying anything of any true value was like, oh, I'm a street. You feel me? That's part of your reputation, but you was never the gangster. The gangster was always smart. There's no cases where the gangster wasn't smart. That's the crony. That's the goon that you send out to go crash out.
Dummy, yeah.
Yeah, but the gangster was always intelligent that took care of his surroundings and his situation.
Right.
Even when you go look at Rick Ross, and when he was, working with the CIA, unknowingly, he was intelligent. His character in Snowfall, right, even though it's a loose portrayal of actual events, was still intelligent, right? And if we get back to that thing today where masculinity is directly in connection with intellectualism and our ability to use our mind, I think we'll be all right because we'll get to that point where, oh, wait a minute. Their whole thing is to try to keep me away from my confidence and my power, which is not some external power, not a car I got, not a house I got. None of that shit matters. It's all about whether I can use my mind and I can figure out these problems that's in front of me, right? And they distract you with all of this. Hey, all of this is your problem. Systematic focus on the past. Like, no, wait a minute. I'm here in the present. How about develop one of these skills, right? All I got to do is keep my mind in control, which mental health is the biggest issue for Black men today.
Yeah.
which means that we don't have control of our mind, which you see a decline, right, in Black America. That's the issue. If we can get to a mindfulness, if we can get to that place where we have that ability to think and focus, then we have all the progress we ever need.
Right.
All the women around the world know that Black men are the best. That's just a well-known fact. I think it's documented in every historical category. They might have tried to erase it, but everybody knows, whether you with one or not.
Right.
We know it's a fact.
Right.
I don't care where you settle, where you've went. It's us, right? And that's no disrespect to second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place. That's what those places are for.
People get a medal.
Yeah, you know, but you know, they created the Olympics for a reason, to show you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Do you know
the Olympics was literally created to show you, like,
there's levels to this. Do you know what the biggest problem with masculinity is? To me, is men. And let me tell you why.
Oh,
Let me tell you why.
You sounded like one of the. You sounded like Margaret Safford.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you why the biggest problem with masculinity is men. Tell you why. People think that anything that a man does is masculine. So I talk a lot about my father, and the reason why I talk a lot about my father is because the older I get, the more I understand, how by osmosis I gain something. So I'm back there hunting, same deer stand I was telling you about. I'll go back there and hunt. I'm back there hunting. And when I'm back in my deer stand hunting, I get down and I see some people having sex in the woods. And I see them having sex in the wood, and they're skinheads. Because we had a bunch of land, but there was one access road, and in the back of the road, some skinheads had bought a house, and they had a little skinhead house, and it was like 14, 15 of them, whatever. And so when I'm getting off my deer stand and I see these people, I'm 14, 15 years old. So I'm just like, oh, they having sex. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even tripping. But the dude kind of bows up on me a little bit. Now I have a gun, right? And my 3-wheeler is right there. This is a dicey situation. So he kind of bows up a little. He's embarrassed is really the only thing. Like, he's embarrassed that he got caught. He said some stuff to me.
When you say skinhead,
these are skinhead.
Two male skinheads or male and female?
A skinhead and another skinhead girl.
Okay. I
don't even know if she was a skinhead girl, because she didn't have her head skin.
Okay.
But she was with them.
Right.
So I assumed that she was down with the Reich or whatever. And so I'm like, I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sitting there. I'm like, grown man. He's coming at me. I see him. He's pulling his pants. The whole thing is like a deal, right? He's pulling his pants up. I got my gun. I'm like this. My three littles white there, and there's a moment. There's a thing. So I'm getting off my deer stand anyway. I get back on my 3-wheeler and I ride back to the crib. I ride back to the house. Ride through the woods. I got a little path to go back there. And I'm in there chilling, and my dad gets home a little while later. I tell him what happened. He's like, "You see anything out there?" I was like, "Yeah, I saw something." You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? He asked you, "Did you see anything?" Like, I didn't see no deer. I saw something. And he was like, "Huh, come with me." So, he wasn't, he kept it on him, whole deal, but he was like a man. So he just drives back to the back. Never, ain't no freaking out. Ain't no, oh man, just drives back to the back. Stops. They're all sitting outside. Like, not all of them, but there's some of them sitting outside. Like, gets out of the truck. He's like, "Boy, get out of the truck." Come around to the front of the truck. He's like, "This is my son." To all y'all, this is my son. Okay, all of that's ours. So he gonna go back there and he gonna hunt. And he's going to hunt back here. He love to hunt. He gonna ride his 3-wheeler, and not just him, but all of his friends gonna be back here. He was like, all his friends. And he's like, he's gonna be safe. And if I feel like anybody is making my son unsafe, I'm gonna come back here. And the next time I come back here, it's not gonna be good for nobody. Are we in agreement? Literally. And even during this, I'm still scared. Cause I'm like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm literally like, it's 9 or 10 of them. Like, it's whoever's sitting out there. I'm like, what's about to happen? He's like, are we cool? And you know what? They like, we're cool. Sir, I'm sir.
Yeah.
From a racist skinhead, sir. Like, "Sir, I'm sorry about what happened before." He's like, I'm not even worried about the trespassing. I'm not trespassing. I was young once too. Y'all want to go back there? I don't even care what y'all got going on. I don't care about none of that. But we neighbors. We gonna live up here, y'all gonna live back here. If it goes bad, I'm telling you it's going bad for everybody. To me, the way I looked at that, at that moment was like, I'm okay. That's what that made me feel. Like even though we had lived in Baton Rouge and we had just got out to Zachary, we had moved out of that and I had known everything that was happening to people, that made me feel like I'm okay. I see somebody that cares about my safety, didn't get crazy about it, didn't get mad, just went back there and asserted himself and said, this is how it's going to be. And the reason why I say that the biggest problem with masculinity is men is because if masculinity is not defined, it'll be redefined. And sometimes the people that are defining it haven't found it yet. It's not that they're not men. They haven't found it yet, right? It's not a birthright. Being a man is a birthright. Being masculine, being a father, being a community leader, that's not a birthright. You got to search for that. Somebody has to initiate you into that. That's taught. Like that has to be taught, right? If you give somebody $100 million at 21, they're going to do what they 21-year-old body tell them to do. They're going to rap the way their 21-year-old body tell them to rap. They're going to have sex the way their 21-year-old body tell them to have sex. And then over the next 15 years, they're going to pop out a couple of kids, marry a woman, and then they're going to start thinking about the community. So the reality is and that's not a diss to any of my brothers, because I'm not coming off holding it out. I worked at TMZ for 9 years. So it's no way to get it. There's no way to diss them. So what I'm saying is there has to be just like we have a conversation about everything else. We have to have a conversation because not everybody has a dad, right? Yeah. So they got to be able to touch us. We got to be there for kids and show them that responsibility, safety, intentionality, not perfection. Because like I said, I was at TMZ 9 years, not perfection. Those are the things that make a man.
Yeah, I think the statement on his face, I would disagree with.
I feel you.
I understand the explanation, but the explanation doesn't sound like the statement on his face.
Allow me a little bit more latitude. The reason why I say that is because when I'm trying to say, and you should have my brother Jason Wilson on here from the Cave of Adullam up in Detroit. Talks about being a comprehensive man and what that means. He teaches the young man.
The brother with the beard.
The brother with the beard.
Yeah. I like that brother.
Yeah, like talk about being a comprehensive man. What I'm saying is that because we have some brothers, some men that are misplacing their manhood in other places, but yet asserting it, it's sometimes like muddles the definition.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything that you're saying, as you explained it.
I'm 19 Keys, and this is High Level Conversation.